Hey guys, it's your most favorite time of the year, and it's when we get to start talking about the research paper. Basically, I'm going to go through some components of the paper tonight. That way I don't have to take up time in class tomorrow, and you guys can spend the entire time essentially looking up topics and starting your thesis statement, etc. Very first thing, obviously, is what is the paper about? The research paper this year is going to be an analytical paper pertaining to British literature. So essentially, I'll give you some examples in a few minutes of what that might entail or what you might choose to write about. But basically, if you can tie in to Brit Lit, that's what we're looking for. And then the whole component this year, again, is the analysis piece. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes here. But basically, I want to go over with you a little bit of a checklist. Anything that I go over tonight, again, I'm going to give you in the handout format, and that way you'll have a hard copy as well. But you can also come back and visit this video if you need to. Of course, we want to talk about how long it has to be. It must be 6 pages. It can't be any more than 10 pages. Okay, 10 pages is too lengthy. Less than 6 pages is too short. Each page is 48 points. So if you have 5.5 pages, you're going to lose 24 points. If you have 5 pages, you're going to lose 48 points right off the top. So again, you have 6 weeks to work on this thing. We're going to come up to the library at least 5 times. That's a page a week. Okay. If you have problems, if you have issues, you need to come and talk to me in advance. Come and use the resource time when you're putzing around and not doing anything to come and talk to me about your paper if that's needed. I have to approve your topic. And again, as you get going here and as I show you some ideas and so forth, you might start to get some ideas about what you want to do. There will be a research paper rubric, okay, that I'll give to you. There's also an editing session that will take a couple of days out of class time for you to have the paper peer edited. The paper has to be peer edited by 2 people in your class period. Okay? Can't be proofread by Aunt Tootsie out in Switzerland. It has to be 2 kids in this block or in your block. Okay? And I will, like I said, I'll give you a rubric for the peer editing as well. We're going to do a rough draft. It has to be 4 pages in length. You'll get a homework grade for it. That's due November 1st, okay? And what that'll do is that'll really set you up for the due date of the paper, which is November 11th. So you'll have 4 pages in here, plus some works cited, okay? You'll go through the peer editing process, and then you can tweak and adjust as you need to in order to have your 6 pages by the 11th, okay, of November. Okay, please do not try to scheme me about, what font you use, okay, the borders, okay, any of that. I'm an English teacher. I know how people like to scheme, okay. You won't get away with it. You won't get away with doing extra spacing. You won't get away with using, Courier New as your font instead of Times New Roman. You have to do that. That's part of MLA format. Okay. You must have an appropriate thesis statement approved by me, and I'll talk about the thesis statement and creating that in a few minutes here. You have to have 6 scholarly sources. Okay, 6 of them. You can only use 1 internet source within those 6. So you'll have 5 something else sources besides the internet. Listen, I know you all know how to use a Google search. Okay, that is not what we're trying to do. I'm trying to get you to figure out how to use scholarly sources, because when you get to college, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to go into the periodicals. You're going to have to go to, God forbid, a library, okay? And you're going to probably have to research, okay, in those things, and not just Google search. You'll have to be able to find people who are credible to back up what you say. So that's what we're looking for. After you have your 6 sources, okay, you may use as many more as you like, but you can only use 1 more internet source. So if you have 20 sources, you can only have 2 internet sources, okay? If you have 9 sources, you may only have 2 internet sources. And all internet sources are approved by me, because Wikipedia is not going to work, okay? There will be a works cited page. You must have MLA format. That means you must have in-text citations, okay? You need to follow the steps prior to this, okay? Or else the paper is not going to be accepted. So you have to have it peer edited, okay? You know, you have to make sure that a topic is approved by me, etc. Okay, you have to turn it in. Please don't try to plagiarize, okay? Turn it in will catch you. You're not going to be the magical person who gets away with it. It literally maps out things in a color coordinated way so that I know where you got what information, okay? So again, another thing, don't try to scheme me. It's not even we, it's turn it in will catch you. And then on Monday, November 11th at 8 a.m., the paper is due. So if you're in first block, that's fine, you're in my class. If you're in third block, you have to come in and present me with the hard copy, as well as the peer editing, etc. And I'll tell you about, you know, the order of things and all of that. But basically, the hard copy of the paper is due Monday, November 11th. Okay, I'm going to go over some notes with you guys as far as what you are and are not allowed to do. Okay, so anytime you use any of these things, it's a loss of 5 points. And I'm not going to read them all to you, but you need to look at them. I'm going to tell you the worst offenders. So if you do these in the paper, again, 5 points. Okay, the biggest offenders right here. The word you, okay? People use you all the time in the paper, okay? You do not want to do that. You don't want to address your reader. You want to use one or a person or something else other than you. You can't address the reader in your paper, okay? I think, I feel, I believe, to me, I personally, in my opinion, okay, those are big offenders. So is we or are to include the reader. Those are big offenders, okay? Again, you want to look over this because when you do the peer editing session, this is what you want to be looking for on other people's papers, okay? And I will hand this to you as well, so you'll have a hard copy, and then you'll have, you know, obviously can revisit this. Okay, back to our exciting PowerPoint slideshow. Okay, I'm going to just bring up the rubric so you can see what it looks like. Okay, again, you'll notice that each component is 40 points apiece. Okay, this says distinguished. That means it's superior. That means it is above average. Okay, so I'm going to be very honest with you. I am going to grade this on a level of difficulty that is a little bit higher level, okay? I'm looking for your ability to analyze and write well, okay? So, you'll see there are 7 components, 40 points apiece. That means the paper is worth 280 points. That is so that you don't just go in and not do anything, okay, and, you know, basically are able to walk out of this English class with minimal work on this paper, okay? What I'm saying to you is you can't just blow this off and then expect to do well in this class, okay? It's point-wise is not possible. So you're going to have to put some time and effort into this. Okay? The biggest piece that you need to look at is right here. That's where people lose the most points. Okay? So your information and evidence, your analysis, and your organization and development of ideas. Okay? Again, if you look down here, this should be so simple to get 80 points on, because you can look up the documentation part, okay? And the revisions are something we're going to give class time to do on November 1st. So that should not be a problem, okay? Language conventions, again, easy for you to get 40 points on, because that's something that can be checked easily, okay? And again, if you have any questions about this, I'm not going to insult your intelligence by reading through the whole thing. But if you have any questions, please ask me. Okay, next. Moving right along. These are some potential topics. I'm going to just review one or two of them and move on to how you guys are going to formulate a thesis statement. Okay? So, the very first one. Some of the earliest texts we read in the history of English literature, we encountered varying definitions of what constitutes a hero. You're going to, for example, compare and contrast maybe Beowulf, Sir Gawain, and Le Morte d'Arthur, which are pieces we haven't looked at yet, but we will, okay, and produce a definition of heroism, okay? You may use particular heroes as examples, like Hector and Achilles from the Iliad, even though that's Greek mythology, or Satan in Milton's Paradise Lost. Okay. Again, these are pieces that are in our text. Okay. And that's kind of an example of what you may focus on for a topic. And again, I'm going to give you guys a hard copy of these things. Okay. You see one here addressing religion, okay? You see one, the portrayal of men and women, okay? There's some more here about, leadership, okay? And again, right on through, okay? Talking about developing a theme that you believe is explored in many and perhaps unusual ways within one author or piece. Okay, there are some other ideas as well. If you go to A24 in your text, there are, selections by theme in the text. Okay, and you can look at that as well. So there are a lot of various ways that you can address and tackle a different type of topic. Okay? Now, last thing. The introductory paragraph. Okay? We are going to do what's known as the pyramid format introduction. Okay? And you guys can go back through this, and you can actually go to this, and it will give you exactly what you need to do, okay, in the introduction. Okay, and how to create a thesis statement. So, the introductory paragraph, okay, we're using the inverted pyramid format. You'll begin with a broad statement. This is an example. Many people believe that the concept of fate and destiny have shaped their lives. Okay, then you'll kind of start to hone in on your topic. Okay, so this notion was expressed in Britain during various times in history. And the last thing, third sentence is your most important, most specific statement, and it's your thesis statement. During Greek mythology, Anglo-Saxon, Middle Ages literature, in Britain, fate and destiny were intertwined with the religious belief of many gods, which transitioned to the idea of one God. And again, that's your thesis statement. The introduction, that's your 3 sentences. 1, 2, 3. That's all you need to create a thesis, okay? And again, you can go right back to this, okay? And you can look this up again. You can pause this video and take a look, okay? See the definition of the thesis statement, 3-pronged statement, okay? Here's your examples, etc. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.